Why is May 15th an important day for Palestinians? It's the day they mark the Nakba, which means catastrophe, and it refers to the mass displacement of Palestinians when the State of Israel was created in 1948.
The Nakba did not end in 1948, and we're again living a second Nakba in Gaza, this time live streamed through our phones and TV screens.
To understand what happened, let's dig up some history. The region of Palestine has been fought over for hundreds of years and controlled by different ancient kingdoms and empires. In more modern times, it was part of the Ottoman Empire. But the British took control there during the First World War, and it later became known as British Mandate Palestine. The population was 78% Muslim, 11% Jewish, and 10% Christian, according to a census in 1922. Now, even before they took control, the British supported the idea of establishing a Jewish homeland in Palestine. It was stated in a letter known as the Balfour Declaration.
And the Jews were promised a national home in Palestine.
That was the aim of a movement called Zionism. It encouraged Jews to move to British Mandate Palestine, and in the 1920s and 30s, more and more did. Many were fleeing persecution in Europe. But the growing Jewish population led to tension with the local Arab population, the Palestinians. Jewish and Arab armed groups cropped up, and there was violence. In response, a British commission suggested splitting or partitioning the land, but basically no one liked the idea.
The scheme to divide the country between Arabs and Jews has pleased nobody in Palestine, and agitation has fomented discontent to the point of terrorism.
In the 1940s, the question of what should happen to Palestine grew more urgent. So did pressure to establish a Jewish homeland, especially after World War II and the Holocaust. So then, in 1947, the British asked the United Nations for recommendations on what to do. And this is what the UN came up with. Another partition plan. This one allocated 56% of the land to a Jewish state and left 43% for an Arab state. The rest, including Jerusalem with all of its holy sites, would be under international control. Now, the UN General Assembly voted to adopt the plan. Jewish leaders accepted it, but Arab leaders rejected it. They saw it as deeply unfair, especially because the Arab population was the majority. A year later, Israel went ahead and declared itself a state, and 5 Arab nations went to war with Israel. Israel calls it their War of Independence. And this is what Palestinians call the Nakba, or catastrophe. Because during that war, more than 700,000 Palestinians fled or were forced from their homes. Many ended up in refugee camps in the West Bank and Gaza, also in Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria. Their hope was that one day they'd be able to return, but that's never happened.
My grandmother always kept her house key with her until her very last day. Generations later, my parents and I grew up as refugees in Gaza. I always find myself wondering if this cycle of displacement will ever come to an end, if there will ever be a day when we can finally lay down our roots and build a future for ourselves without fear of it being ripped away.